Heidi Voss.
And Bella Clementi.
And this is
The Cool
Views Podcast. Let's do that one more time.
Okay.
What did you say? Live from?
Live from the coolest view in all of DC.
One more time. Do that one more time.
Live from the coolest view in all of DC.
I'm Heidi Voss.
And I'm Bella Clementi.
And this is the Cool Views Podcast.
Honestly, my strongest memory, my two most poignant features of that whole happening are us peeing at the same time and being on the phone saying, "Oh my God, we're peeing."
Are you being too? Me too. It's going down.
That. But then also the other very strong feature for me is shoot, I just lost my memory.
No, that's okay. I will tell a feature.
Just getting grilled by my parents and getting in a lot of trouble. Oh, and crying like a little bitch. I was crying so much.
It was
and I remember thinking back, I'm so pathetic. Why was I crying so much? Why did I have to cry? I could have been so much more tough in that situation. And instead, my pathetic response, I remember thinking I am so pathetic. If there's ever a zombie apocalypse or any sort of other really important fight or flight situation, as much as I want to be yeah, I'm on the fight side. Nope, I'm on the flight side. I cried like a bitch. I cried so much. And I also made a fool of myself in front of my very cool new BFF that I had in high school, which was Heidi Voss. Which was so lame.
I just was I need to make sure. I think I also felt like this is my fault because I think I was probably a bit of a bad influence. We're pretty bad influences on each other. I think we both.
Yeah, I don't think it was totally both of us mutual. Plotting and being this is a good idea. I think I totally, in my mind, remember thinking, ooh, this is so badass.
I know. I thought we were so
This
cool.
is pretty cool. So it was totally not just you. It was also me being yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this thing.
We came up with this idea and we're going to execute. And
we thought that we were so cool. Also sneaking out of your house. It was so late at night. We were hopping fences. We were
the doors
liquor.
were so squeaky.
I remember though, what the two things that point I can pinpoint and vividly remember are the flashlight and him saying, go pick up that water bottle. Because I thought for sure I was golden with that water bottle.
And I remember thinking to myself, no, there's no way we have to actually present the water bottle and its contents to this dude. There's no way. I remember thinking nah, we can empty it out. There's so many things that we can do. I think I remember thinking to myself, if I had grabbed the water bottle, I probably would have tried to empty it out anyway before him and being what are you going to do now? But also, this is me saying this in retrospect, knowing that I sobbed and cried and freaked out.
I just knew.
I like to think that these are things I would do, but in reality, probably not. Probably not would have happened if I had the water bottle.
2020 hindsight.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, also at the same time too, when you're looking back, when I think back to that memory, I'm yeah, that's pretty hilarious. But then I'm thinking in relation to all of the things that were going on in high school otherwise, the fact that we got caught for this, it's dude, you could have ripped a lot of other students up for way worse shit. And you caught these two pathetic freshman high schoolers who clearly don't know what they're doing with alcohol. And I think that also is just, I mean, we're not going to talk about this right now, but just the whole conversation about American society compared to other countries and how they handle alcohol consumption with youth and all of that. It's super interesting to me. And I just think it's also really, it's just such a funny thing that we got so screwed because we went overboard.
I remember going to Austria and going to the grocery store and talking to one of the checkout people.
Not a big deal there.
No, and I
They
was
don't
like
care.
talking to them about American culture and how we all binge drink because we would steal alcohol and try to get as wasted as possible before we had to go into an event because you couldn't bring alcohol into the event. And then they were talking to me about how at 15 and 16 or even younger, kids come into the grocery store and their parents give them money for groceries. And then they can even say, by the way, my mom wanted 2 bottles of wine, so I'm bringing 2 bottles of wine home. At like 14 or 15, they can go in and buy the bottles of wine. And none of them are binge drinking because they're allowed to have wine at the table with dinner. Like,
no, yeah. I remember I went on a student trip it was Italy and France because in high school, my nerdy side, I was a huge nerd in high school, or at least I was a wannabe nerd. I don't know how nerdy I actually was. But anyway, I was like the president of our Latin club and was really into Latin, like classical Latin, not
all of our like cool friends were in Latin too. I remember being jealous of Latin
was
class.
Shit.
Latin
was awesome. We went to toga parties at the conventions in our state and stuff. Really good stuff. But I remember we went on the school trip and with all the French students too, which was really awesome because I was like, those kids are so cool. But anyway, I remember we were trying to sneak away with purchasing and drinking. I think it was limoncello, which is
good choice.
Such a soft, it's so good. But that
soft
is such a
drink.
soft drink in terms of like alcohol options, especially for dweeb American teenagers. And we got caught and got in trouble. And
no way.
I remember thinking this is so stupid because it's legal here. And I understood the reason for the repercussions, but I just remember thinking that it was just so over the top that our monitors were so strict about following the rules of American culture when we weren't even in America. We were in Italy. And I also remember I was just so bummed. I think it was in France when we were visiting Paris, and it was just such a bummer because I was like, it would be so fun to have limoncello and get a little bit tipsy.
They should have let you guys.
I mean, that's so
like
dumb.
Ridiculous. That was just them saving their own asses because they didn't want the adults, the parents, to find out when they came back.
Yeah, exactly. And like honestly, from their perspective, I don't know if I would have been as much of a helicopter about it, but I totally understand the reasoning behind why they were so strict about it. And if I was, in their position and had to deal with like reporting back to my students' parents that their kids got
I wouldn't have told a soul.
Really intoxicated on a school trip.
I can't wait. Put me in charge of kids. I'm gonna say go fucking buck wild. I will never tell your parents. Go.
Oh yeah.
I remember that is really cool actually that you went to France and Italy.
It was really awesome.
I went to Canada. I did the Canada trip.
Oh, Canada is amazing. Where in Canada did you guys go?
Mont Tremblant.
Oh.
It was like up north,
So
and there
French
was
Canadians. Yeah.
And the skiing was amazing. And this town was like this beautiful little like French town. Like all of the houses were these little French villages, like little fancy. All the buildings looked like little French buildings, but when you went inside of them, there were restaurants, like Chinese restaurants. There were nightclubs and bars. So they look like these little French houses. But when you go inside, I remember going inside and there was a club and they were playing Drake. And I remember being like, Drake in Canada? Yes. And then I remember there being women in cages dancing at the top. And also because
Your little lesbian heart before you knew you were a lesbian was like through the roof.
Through the roof. Drake was playing. God. There were hot women dancing in cages.
Oh my God.
I also was the only one who made it in the club because they started turning away our fake IDs. Because I also had an ID that said I was 18 because I was 17 and you could drink in Canada if you were 18. So I had a fake ID to say I was 18. Is that not ridiculous? And then I remember handing it to the guy and he was like, this isn't you. And I was like, yeah, it is. And he was like, no, it's not. And then I grabbed the ID back from him because I still had like 3 or 4 days there. And I ran. And I just ran in. And I ran to the basement and I took shots with these girls of Jaeger bombs. And I was like, Isn't Drake
hey,
Canadian?
shout out to Jägermeister for sponsoring the documentary on lesbian bars in America.
What documentary is that?
I don't know what it is called.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, it's on the lack of lesbian bars in the U.S. and how so many have had to close because of COVID. And just in general, it's really hard for lesbian bars to stay open.
Actually, a second lesbian bar just opened in DC.
Oh my God.
They named it Come As You Are, like after Nirvana, which is super cool. And they both it's a married couple, and they both worked at A League of Her Own, which I've told Bella about. I'm going to bring her to this bar because on this podcast we want to review gay bars.
Yeah.
But it's this really fun bar called Pitchers, and there's like a middle floor and an upstairs and like a rooftop. But in the basement, it's sort of like this wine cellar-esque kind of room. And it's called A League of Her Own. And it's like, that's supposed to be like the lesbian bar. And then above is the gay bar, but everybody goes.
Amazing. I can't wait to go. It's sad I haven't been, but I haven't been. Sorry, everyone.
But so two ladies who were bartenders that got married, I believe it's a wife and wife,
oh my God.
Left Pitchers and started their own bar. And it's like one of like 8 in the United States. Like there's like...
No, there's really not. No, there's a new one that just opened in Chicago, actually. Someone sent me an article about it. Because they know that Chicago is a city that's of interest to me. And they're like, this seems like a good reason to, you know, just another reason to visit Chicago in the near future. Lesbian bar opened recently by I think they're a queer couple. I don't know if they're together or not, but it's 2 queer women
That's awesome.
it. But yeah, there's not enough lesbian bars.
I would love to look up like how many just bars in general. Like I like, it's weird to be like a straight bar because I feel like it's a normal bar.
Yeah.
Versus a gay bar.
Yeah.
But it is a straight bar.
Yeah.
You know, but how many fucking bars are there in every state or every city anywhere?
Yeah.
And then there are, I think, 8 lesbian bars.
And
there are lots of gay bars.
Yeah, right. Sure.
But still not that many.
Queer-friendly bars, which is great. But yeah, lesbian-specific bars, they're hard to come by.
But as we will review in future episodes, Bella has taken me to some very fun lesbian bars in New York.
Yes, there's some classics. We have Cubbyhole, a
It's
classic.
mostly just
my
Cubbyhole,
favorite.
right?
Cubbyhole's my favorite.
Right?
There's
Henrietta Hudson's.
Henrietta Hudson's.
I hated that. I hated that bar.
So it's not my favorite spot.
No offense. Sorry. Hold on. I should rephrase, right? Sponsor us. Just kidding. No, I really did not like my experience at Henrietta.
Yeah, I think so. The one time I did go there once recently since I took you there, and I had so much fun.
Okay, so maybe the vibe just wasn't right.
It depends. And I think it's more of a dancey bar. So in my opinion, the more drunk you are, the more fun you can have. I also know that I think what's really cool about Henrietta's, and like I only go there, I've only at least ever been there on the weekends, but I know that during the L Word Generation Q, when that was coming out with new episodes weekly, they were having weekly viewings, and some of the cast members actually came to Henrietta Hudson's, and I regret it so much.
You did go.
It was like one night that I decided I wanted to stay in, and I had some friends that were like, come out. And I was like, no, I'm too tired. And then I saw posts the next couple of days on Instagram, and the cast from Generation Q was there, and I was devastated because if I had known, of course, that they were going to be there, I would have totally have been there. And I think it was the season finale of season 2 or something like that. And amazing. But They're also in 2022. I don't know if they've started doing it yet or if they're starting in January, but they're also going to be doing rerun viewings of the original L Word, which I think is so fun. Yeah.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. It's just amazing. It's hilarious. And like to watch that on a projector and a big screen with like a group of queer women and like queer folk. I mean, that just sounds
hilarious.
The
show is also so like it's honestly a little cringy because it was filmed so long ago.
Yeah.
Like it's great. Like I am not shading that show.
It is a great thing, but it's also
a little cringy. Like Jenny's character, everyone's hating on Jenny all the time.
Not everyone hates. When I meet people who don't hate Jenny, and like no offense to the non-Jenny haters out there, but I'm always like what?
Where are you at?
Why?
Also, everybody loves Shane.
Her character is so annoying, but I love that show. I love that it is in existence. I love the cast. They're the bomb diggity, and like, I mean. I think the biggest problem with L Word though is it's very male gaze oriented and it's pretty unrealistic and it's very soapy, but I think while that can be really annoying, and I think the reason why it's so annoying is because of the lack of shows that touch on the queer woman experience.
Especially then, that was in the 90s,
especially then. Yeah. 90s and early 2000s. Like, that being said, it's still like such a freaking awesome show and I love it, and it's so cult. It's such a cult classic.
It is a cult classic.
Good. I love it.
I didn't know that they were going to start playing those.
Yeah.
We should definitely go back.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a new thing. I think too because I'm assuming that they had such great success with doing viewings of the new episodes of Generation Q that they're like, we should just do rerun episodes, you know, at our bar of the original L Word.
I remember when we went to Henrietta Hudson's, the only thing that I didn't like was that it was, do you remember how steamy it was in there?
I'm honestly trying to remember when I brought you there.
I remember it was like we had already gone to like 3 bars, end of the night. Yeah. We go into this bar.
It is steamy.
It was
and
so
it's packed.
Hot.
And
I
people
was so
there, like,
hot.
They're not there to, it's not, I think what I love about Cubbyhole in particular is it can be such a social environment. And it's,
Cubby is the best.
I love
We should
Cubby.
talk about Cubby. Let's wrap. So we're going to sign this off. This is the Cool Views Podcast. I'm Heidi Voss.
And I'm Bella Clementi.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time.
Ta-ta for now.